So the class is on live YouTube now. So probably you can play maybe Prabhupada tape while we wait for Maharaj to come in.
Bhaja Gure Mana Abhaya Charanara
I think Maharaj is here now.
Yes, I finally figured it out just to use my phone. I gave up on the computer.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna, everyone. Let me just see if
Hare
I can
Krishna.
get some space here on my computer between me and the computer here. So I can show everybody I'm here. Put my necktie on.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Nice to see everyone again after
Hare
a while.
Krishna. Nice to see you, Maharaj. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Gurudev, all glories to you.
Yeah. Let's see here.
Yes.
I read the verse yesterday beforehand, and it's a wonderful verse. The next one's got a long purport.
Yes. You have a very short purport.
Yeah.
Yeah.
24.
So, dear devotees, Hare Krishna, we thank you all for being here today as usual. Today we are blessed to have His Holiness RTADVAJA Prabhu. I'm sorry, Maharaj. I'm sorry. We are blessed to have the presence of His Holiness RTADVAJA SWAMI Maharaj, who will be taking us through the deep waters of SRIMAD BHAGAVATAM, so we can enjoy the nectar. Maharaj, I heard you were, when you were in Gitanagri, I heard of you, I couldn't get hold of you. When you were in Gitanagri for the RTADVAJA.
Yeah. You were there?
I was there, but I couldn't see you.
Oh, because I only went part of the way because I had the program.
Yeah, you had a program, you had people you were attending to, yes.
Yeah, we had like 100 students there.
Yes. Yeah, I missed you. Okay, so Hare Krishna.
Then too.
Yes. So Maharaj, if you're ready, we'll put the verse on the screen and you may begin.
Put the what on the screen?
The verse.
Oh, I don't know how to do that. I don't know.
No, I will put it on the screen.
Okay. Just do one thing. Oh, Krishna. Well, it's a good thing I got the book because I can't read that small print on my phone.
Oh, okay. It's too small.
I got it here.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Maharaj. We'll follow on the screen.
Okay. Disham Mahagne Purushada Darshadanad Asad Sabhaya Vanavasa Krichataha Mride Neka Maharatha Strato Dron Yastrasta Chasmat Hare Virakshita. My dear Lord, my dear Krishna, your Lordship has protected us from
Maharaj, excuse me, what text are you reading?
824. That's the one I was. Oh, wait a second here. Wait, I thought I was scheduled for 824. Wait a second here. Let me go back on my.
Okay.
Wait a second. What's going on?
It's supposed to be 1:17:40.
Okay, 1:17:40. Okay.
Yes,
For some reason, For some reason, I thought it was chapter 8, text 24. I'll go back and find out why I made that mistake. Okay. So 1740.
Yes, Maharaj.
Getting close to the end of the chapter.
Yes.
Well, this is really a short verse. I remember.
Very, very short.
No wonder you said it's a short purport.
Yeah, 2 sentences.
Okay.
But I believe it's fully loaded.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay. I guess no wonder. I forgot to say Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Agyantamarandasha Jananjana Shalakaya. Chakshuruminitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Daya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvasesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So text number 40, chapter 17. I think I know what happened because last spring I was asked to give the class on 824, but I was unable at that time, but it was still in Giridhari Puja's WhatsApp message, and I think I didn't connect it.
Okay. All right.
Amoni Panchastat Nani Dharma Prabhava Kali Autareyena Datani Yavasatan Nideshvakrit Amoni, all those, Pancha. 5, Stanani, places, he, certainly, Adharma, irreligious principles. Prabhava, encouraging, Kali, the age of Kali. Autarenyena, by the son of Uttara, the Tani, delivered. Nyavasat, dwelt, tat, by him. Nideshakrit, directed. Translation. Thus the personality of Kali, by the directions of Maharaj Prikat, the son of Uttara, was allowed to live in those 5 places. Purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Thus the age of Kali began with gold standardization, and therefore falsity, intoxication, animal slaughter, and prostitution are rampant all over the world. And the saner section is eager to drive out corruption. The counteracting process is suggested above, and everyone can take advantage of this suggestion. The counteracting process is suggested above. That must be in the previous verse, right? You see any counteraction? I mean, other than knowing where it's at, it's located where there's gold, and gold causes falsity, intoxications, animal slaughter, prostitution. They're all over the world. Let's just go back a little bit. Okay. So in text number 38, let's just go back maybe a little bit more. Oh, yeah. wish I had no. I wish I had the verse before. I could have pre-read this. So I'm having to read it in the company of the Vaishnavas here. But we know the story. We know the story. How Parikshit said that King Parikshit said that, you know, you can reside anywhere in the kingdom, but there was no place for him to reside where there was, how do you say it? He would always see the bow and arrow of Parikshit always being there. And he described that he wanted the protector of religion, please fix.
The way it seems Maharaj has connectivity issues, but we have to patiently wait for him to reconnect. Yeah. Yeah, it's connectivity issues, but hopefully by Guru Krishna's grace, it will get resolved. Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you for being back, but you are muted. You may have to unmute. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Maharaj.
Some people say it's better that I'm muted.
Hare Krishna.
Anyway, as I was saying before, when I was going back a few verses behind, that Parikshit Maharaj gave Kali permission to reside where gambling, drinking, prostitution, animal slaughter were performed. And although I didn't get a chance to go over this before because I was on the wrong verse, Prabhupada would often mention how the governments these days are, a lot of people are basically innocent or innocent by nature, but because the government is so corrupt that they allow these things and they take advantage of not directing the people in the right way. Prabhupada mentions in the purport, the age of Kali began with gold standardization. And so it obviously began a long, long time ago because it was done by Parikshit Maharaj to give Kali that opportunity. And you can see that Prabhupada he rephrases the words from the previous verses. He says, thus the age of Kali began with gold standardization. And therefore, from that came falsity, intoxication, animal slaughter, and prostitution are rampant all over the world. Now there's a saner section that's eager to drive out corruption. You see that all over the world. There's a pocket of people that are dominating because of their, what would you say, their greed or their nature is almost like demoniac. And in order for the saner section of people, they really want to change it, but there's very, very little opportunity now. Of course, we know in the Bhagavatam, later on in the Bhagavatam, it describes that in this age of Kali, people become so dissatisfied with the government situations that they'll simply move to the forest. They just will want, their only place they'll find protection is outside of the grip of the government. So I'll go back just a little bit because the personality of Kali really asked for something more. Because of his begging, the king gave him permission to live where there is gold, because wherever there's gold, this falsity, intoxication, lust, envy, and enmity are there. So because even though Parikshit Maharaj gave Kali permission to live in those places, for Kali to find these types of places because of the reign of Parikshit Maharaj there really was no such places. I mean, we see them now everywhere. I mean, I was just listening recently to Prabhupada's lecture. I mean, I listen every day. Used to do it during meals, but now that I'm in Vrindavan, we have a lot of company. So I still listen in the morning. And Prabhupada was just saying that this wholesale or whole-scale slaughter of animals is causing so much disruption in the world. He said there'll be scarcity, there'll be famine, there'll be war, there'll be pestilence. And we can see, as you know, even in my lifetime, we've seen so much of this increasing over and over again. But in the time of Maharaj Prikrit, this was not available for Kali. And due to this protection that Prikrit Maharaj gave, the king had to give him something practical that Kali could actually utilize in his, I guess you could say, sinful activities or his sinful purposes, which he wanted to do. So then Maharaj Prikrit, as we know, gave him permission to live in a place where there's gold. You can see, what does Prabhupada call gold in the Bhagavatam? Anybody remember? It's really another classic. Yellow stool. another Prabhupada stool example. He calls it yellow stool. You know, it's just like, what is the value? You know. So what Prikrit Maharaj gave him permission to live where there's gold, and wherever there's gold, as mentioned in the verse we were reading, that these four things can exist. Animal slaughter, prostitution, just literally the dredge of the world. And because wherever there's gold, these things will automatically be present. And when you see this, we can understand that greed comes in to the point where there's enmity between, I mean, everyone. I've seen people, they'll fight over anything and everything because of these inauspicious things that took place. What Prabhupada mentions here, this gold standardization allowed falsity, intoxication, animal slaughter, and prostitution to take place. And so the personality of Kali became and began this gold standardization. And we know in the Bhagavatam that it many times mentions that gold encourages falsity. We see that many places, this trading of precious metals, especially I remember years ago, people in India couldn't own, how do you say it? There was a gold standardization in India. And gold in India was worth 25% more than it was worth anywhere else in the world. But people were just not allowed to bring it in from any place else. And so people would actually try to sneak it in. So there was like falsity came up with that, what would you say, that gold standardization. And you can see that this corruption, this enmity that came from that, which was encouraging the falsity, the intoxication, the prostitution, the animal slaughter. And when you get into all those different things, it's really a sinful situation. And we can't, as in this purport, Prabhupada says that the saner section are eager to drive out corruption, and the counteracting process is suggested above, and everyone can take advantage of this suggestion. Does anybody see that suggestion in this verse, or is it in the previous verse? Because I don't see the suggestion how the saner section of the world who are eager to drive out the corruption can understand from this verse the process.
I think Srila Prabhupada gave elaborate steps to averting the influence of Kali in text 38. Srila Prabhupada was quite strong in his purport in verse 38.
It's like Maharaj's network went off again.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah, that's one of the challenges when you use phone to connect to
Yeah.
Zoom. Sometimes it could be very.
All right, let's do this.
Yeah, maybe you fill the gap. Yeah, your screen is always very small. Let me share it. Let me.
Bajahure mana Srinandanandana
Hare Krishna Sari Prabhu. Sima Sari Prabhu.
Yeah, Hare Krishna.
I was just thinking before you stop the song that the devotees can share realizations while we wait for Maharaj so that we don't keep the.
Yeah.
So maybe someone asks a question or comment or something, at least we can share before Maharaj comes back.
Yeah.
we can keep it live.
All right, so I think that's what we can try to do, to share realizations and to keep our fingers crossed to see if Maharaj will be able to join back again. I understand it's a problem going on in his area. I think it's in India, and it's quite late also. All right, so Hare Krishna, what does anyone have something to say on what was read so far? Let me see if I may put the verse on the screen again. Forward. So the verse says, thus the personality of Kali, by the directions of Maharaj Paraksha, the son of Uttara, was allowed to live in those 5 places. Thus the age of Kali began. Okay, Maharaj is back. Maharaj is back, Hare Krishna.
Okay, sorry about that, everyone.
Hare Krishna, Maharaj.
I don't know why it's doing that, but I was just about to make a point that this verse gives the details of where the age of Kali resides. And it reminds me of a part of the 3rd chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, where Arjuna is inquiring why one would commit sinful activities even if he doesn't want to do it. Artikena payukto yam papam karati purusha, by what is one impelled to sinful life, even unwillingly, as if engaged by force. So a few verses later, Krishna says, Indriya mana buddhi. He says that the places of this lust, of course, the next verse is kama esha, krodha esha, rajagunas, that is lust only or desire only, which is the all-devouring sinful enemy of the living entity. And a few verses later, Krishna says, Indriya mana buddhi, that the sitting places of this lust are the senses, the mind, and the intelligence. Indriya mana buddhi, these are the 3 sitting places of lust. And in the commentary, Srila Prabhupada gives in his purport, he explains how by knowing where this lust resides, gives us it's like if you know where the enemy is located, you have a chance to do battle. And that's one of the challenges today, because the enemy just shows up at a bus stop somewhere, and the backpack goes off or something like that. It's hard to control. And so in the similar way, this verse kind of hints at that in the purport, that the counteracting process is suggested above. In other words, we at least know where the 5 places where this Kali can reside. And even in the previous purport, Prabhupada explains that how the gold standard currency is actually based on falsehood, because the currency isn't even at par with the amount of gold we have. And even that in the currency doesn't even say, before it used to say, what would a silver certificate or something would be backed by gold or by silver. But the basic principle now is falsity. They just print money, and there's really nothing to back it up. And therefore we get this artificial inflation of currencies. And this what it basically does is this just encouraging everyone to cheat. In the purport there, in the previous purport, Prabhupada would mention it encourages prostitution of the state economy. In other words, the state is not just basic prostitution as we know it, but it's utilizing that falsity of the value of it. And again, as Prabhupada mentions, that the prices become artificially inflated because of this, or the artificial notes. And it's just like Prabhupada mentioned before, bad money drives away good money. And instead of paper currency, the real thing should be gold coins should be used in exchange. And this will stop the prostitution of gold. In other words, the exploitation of these things as the age of Kali or the Kali personified wanted to do it. So we can see it's almost like most of these things are like so prominent these days. It's like the Bhagavatam, you can see, had a perception or had an ability to guide society and just regulate if we follow it. If we follow these things very, very, very strictly, then we can find out that that the principles of religiosity are based on austerity, cleanliness, mercy, and truthfulness. And then you see just the opposite is there in the different places that Cricket Maharaj gave Kali, the personified Kali. I always want to call it the age of Kali. He gave the personification of Kali the permission to reside in these different places, which has really, really caused a great disturbance for society. So that's a little something. While I had the internet working, maybe we could open it up to the audience and see if there's any specific questions about this age of Kali, or something on this verse and purport, or the ones that were read previously before my internet connection goes off again for the third or fourth time.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much, Maharaj. So at this point, what is Maharaj is requesting if any one of us may have questions, either from today's text
or even anything they'd like to, realizations or feedback or inspirations that they
realizations, feedback, inspirations,
reflections.
Yes. All welcome. Well, Hare Krishna, thank you, Maharaj. Almost every day we discuss Bhagavatam, I come across something that appears quite bewildering to me. And of course, it should be expected. I'm such a conditioned soul, so I have a way of thinking. And my way of thinking is not the thinking of the SRIMAD Bhagavatam. So that is always
it's not the way the SRIMAD Bhagavatam is. Is that what you're saying, or you said something?
Yeah, it's not the way the Bhagavatam is. So I think I'm bound to have such problems every day. I read the Bhagavatam, I hear the Bhagavatam, but I am thinking and wondering, why should the scriptures warn us so much about the age of Kali, when the scriptures themselves tell us the characteristics of the age of Kali? In other words, it's autumn, it's fall now. And if you live in an area where there are trees, obviously there are going to be leaves falling. And
Yes.
when the leaves fall and make your yard messy, and you complain, why do I have to complain? Because that is just the nature. So the nature of Kali is that people will become hypocritical, will become lazy. All these characteristics are there. So my question is, why is the scriptures still telling us that we do otherwise? when the scriptures themselves know that this is just the nature of this age of Kali, we should be expecting this.
So there is a reason for that, and that is that was described in the verse for today, where Prabhupada explains that there is a saner section of society, and the saner section of society really wants to stop the exploitation. Even though this is an age of exploitation, it is an age of diminished longevity. The mind is always disturbed. So many, there's so many characteristics. Of course, we know the best characteristic is that in this age, simply by chanting the holy name, we get the benefit. Such a great benefit in this age. In other words, the chanting of Hare Krishna is always there. But because it's the Yuga Dharma for this age, it's highlighted and stuff like that. But because some people, there is a class of people that will say, this is really weird. This is a really weird season that we're in. They won't even know that it's actually a season. They'll just say the times are changing, the times are weird. And so that saner section of society, when they come in contact with the Bhagavatam or the teachings of SRIMAD Bhagavatam Bhagavad Gita, they'll have a chance to understand that, yes, this is real. This is happening. This is real. I'm not dreaming that that all these crazy things are happening. It's on schedule. And I have an opportunity in this lifetime. It's just like we're given a priority boarding to get out of the material world because it's Kali Yuga. We get that opportunity to excel in spiritual life. I mean, literally excel in spiritual life due to the facilities that are offered by Kali. But it gives the saner section of society just like, how many times have the devotee said to her at finally this thing, well, it's just Kali Yuga. That's like this, well, it's just Kali Yuga. What can we do? Yeah. And that becomes the go-to mantra. It becomes the go-to mantra. And without all that information, we wouldn't have that go-to mantra. But it also gives us a little chance to say, okay, the world is crazy, but I'm not. Everything is crazy, but there's a few of us that are actually coming to the point of recognizing the madness and at least personally doing something for ourselves, which will help, cure that madness. Like you were saying that within yourself, there's so many Kali Yuga elements that you face every day, but at least they're there. That they say acceptance is the first, you have to accept it before you can get cured. And so this is a really good opportunity for us to say that, okay, this is the way it is, and this is the way out. The place is on fire. I'm not an escapist. I'm actually a realist, and the place is literally burning. Because time is just like a fire. Time is just ticking, 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 ticking. And we don't even notice it. It's like you have your watch.
Another connection issues. Well, before Maharaj comes back, we want to take this opportunity to formally welcome His Grace Srivastava Prabhu. Please, Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you for being here. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Sanjay Prabhu. Maharaj is going.
No, he's still here, but he's having some issues with his connection.
Oh, okay.
So it keeps dropping off, and Maharaj is quite determined to bless us. So he comes back and then he loses connection again. So he actually tried to end the class, the lecture itself early, so that devotees may share their realizations or give comments. And I'm not seeing him here.
Yeah, he's dropped.
Yes. But
We'll come back.
Yeah. So anyone with realizations, comments?
Yeah, I think that question of yours was a very smart one. Is befitting a professor because, yeah, we often say that Kali Yuga have its characteristics. The nature of water is taste, the nature of honey is sweetness. So the nature of Kali, okay, Maharaj is back.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, Maharaj needs to unmute.
Yeah, Maharaj, you are muted.
It always mutes me whenever it disconnects. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
So we have that again. We have that golden opportunity of, being the saner section of society, and hopefully, with our efforts, our group efforts, we can put a dent in Kali, put a dent in the situation to actually help as many people as we can come to the realization that this isn't a place for a lady or a gentleman. It's really not a place for a lady or a gentleman. Sorry, it's not my fault. I'm not disconnecting the internet.
Oh, no, Maharaj, we understand. Yeah.
It's just like, I'm just talking and all of a sudden I say, okay, I'm by myself. Let me get my beads out.
Well, Maharaj, I have this question. I asked a question on a different platform, and well, the answer I received was quite satisfactory, but I think I need a little bit more to what was given to me when I asked the question, and that is Ajnana Sukriti. Where
Ajnana Sukriti?
Yes, Maharaj.
Okay.
So by the mercy or the grace of this Zoom, I'm able to have your association. See, you were even in Gita Nagri, I was there, you were there, and I still didn't have your association. But by the mercy of this Zoom, I'm now sitting here in my cubicle here, and I'm having your direct association.
Yeah.
But I do not think the inventor of this Zoom had in mind that I'm going to build this for religious people to meet and discuss about God.
The Hare Krishna movement wasn't made for the Hare Krishna movement.
Yeah. But now everywhere devotees are using it and making lots of positive impact. So somebody builds an aircraft, and devotees use this aircraft to travel from one place to another in a very short period of time to preach, do wonderful spiritual activities. We're using telephone to do so many things we are using in the service of Guru and Krishna. But the inventors themselves did not invent with the idea or the mindset of any spiritual background or reasoning. So my question is, do these inventors also get any sort of benefit from what they have built, even though they did not build for the purpose of spirituality, but spiritual people are using it?
Yeah. Prabhupada said that the person that built it he was talking about my recorders, or even like when the first computers came out. He said God gave him the brain, God gave them the ingredients to make it, gave them the intelligence to figure it out, gave them the ingredients, but they had a different purpose. Now the question is, how much Agata Sukriti do they get? I don't have an Agata Sukriti meter with me right now, but I don't have an Agata Sukriti thermometer. Stick it in the Zoom connection here. But the fact that it is being used, that there's some spiritual benefit to it. I mean, we're spiritually benefiting from it by having each other's association. Does the inventor do that? Does the inventor get some credit? I would hope so. I would hope so. And I would say, like, when you think about Agata Sukriti, it's unknowingly engaging in the devotional service of the Lord. Unknowingly engaging.
Yeah.
So there's 9 processes of devotional service, and it's hearing and chanting and remembering. And so if they facilitated hearing and chanting,
Yeah.
I mean, Prabhupada gave credit for that, that they didn't invent the tape recorder and that dictaphone, but he's using it for that. Although he didn't say now they get credit, but it was maybe assumed that he was saying that we're utilizing everything for the service of Krishna. And you make the example of the aircraft or the airplane. And probably, if they're going to hell in a 747, we're not going to walk. We're going to use the 747 to keep up. Of course, now I guess it's a 777 or a 787, or I think the 747s are now dustbins. But and so, Kali Yuga is going at such a fast pace. We just utilize everything that we can to keep up with the advancement of Kali Yuga. Everything's moving at a fast pace, and it's our duty to keep up. It's our duty to keep up. Those of us who have the ability to, what would you say, utilize these things. If we have the ability to utilize it without getting spiritual indigestion. Prabhupada would say, if you can eat 2 chapatis, only eat 2 chapatis. Well, if you can if you can use Zoom without getting spiritual indigestion from it by utilizing it for something other than Krishna consciousness or face page or WhatsApp or whatever's out there. I didn't even know all the different names. Anyway, Instagram or whatever what do they call it? Twitter. I don't know Twitter. I mean, these things are so complicated. I basically can't figure them out, which is probably good for me because I'd probably use them in the wrong way. But the idea is that as long as we utilize them, with the intent for service to Krishna, then we don't get the spiritual indigestion that we would get by utilizing them in the field of Kali. And Kali has a pretty good field out there, and he's really cultivating it. And in the age of Kali is, full steam ahead. And so, yeah, we use these facilities to preach. So did they get credit? I'd like to say yes.
Yeah.
I would like to say yes, although like I said, I don't have my Agata Sukriti meter with me right now, so it'd be hard to say. But it's a nice thought. It's a nice thought. It's a nice thought. Like the way Prabhupada would say, they said they had no intention, but we're utilizing it. They had no intention for this to be used, the dictaphone to be used like that. And you can remember Gargamuni's story about how he found that dictaphone and decided to buy it for Prabhupada in 1966. Kind of randomly bought him that dictaphone, and Prabhupada immediately used it in the service of Krishna and gave it as an example. Anybody else have some reflections or some thoughts or a question before the internet goes off?
Yeah, thank you so much, Maharaj, for such a beautiful answer to my question. So anyone with reflections, realizations, comments, please do that before Maharaj loses connection again.
This will be the last time I'm going to sit and wait. Of course, I can chant japa. I can chant some extra japa, more japa, I guess they say.
Yeah.
It's nice to see everyone again. It's been a while.
Yes, it's been a while. See, Maharaj, since everybody is kind of silent, I have one other question. And that
Sure.
is,
We had plans for this morning.
you rightly said that it is Krishna who gives the brain the intelligence for different people to come up with all these different inventions, which some of us are actually benefiting from. So it seemed to me that Krishna is actually more merciful in our present age than in previous ages, in the sense that, like when we read about the great sages meeting in Naimisharanya. Can you hear me? Maharaj, if you can hear me, maybe one other thing you could do is maybe stop your video and just use the audio. Let me see if I can send that to him via text. Okay, he's still here. Yeah, Maharaj, I was suggesting that you probably may have to turn off your video. If you stop the video and just use the audio.
Okay.
That may be a little more stable. Yes. Okay. Yeah, so my question, I'll try to continue my question. I hope I don't lose track of the question. The question I'm trying to put across is, it appears to me that Krishna is actually more merciful in this age of Kali than the previous ages, in the sense that like those great sages who met in Naimisharanya, if you were not a great sage who had a special ability to hearing, I do not see how you could hear Sutta Goswami speaking, because he was speaking to thousands of people and he didn't have a megaphone, he didn't have a microphone, there was no speaker. How was he able to speak to this huge crowd of people and they all heard him right? But now I can sit here and then with my loudspeaker, I can reach out to thousands of people. All they need to do is have the desire to hear. Unlike in those days, only those who were spiritually enlightened could hear such topics. So today we have these things we are using in the service of Krishna. Why Krishna, when he was here personally, when Lord Chaitanya was here personally, why didn't they put these ideas in the minds of people to come up with all these things we are using today so that they could use in their days?
He was waiting for Prabhupada to do it.
Oh, they're waiting for Prabhupada to do it. Okay. Simple, great answer. Thank you, Maharaj. Okay. They didn't want to take away all the credit. Okay. Thank you, Maharaj.
And I'm sure everybody that was there could hear at Naimisharanya. I don't think anybody was like me. I have to cut my ear to hear now, you know, until I get some hearing aids.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They all heard, but because they were very spiritually enlightened, if they were ordinary people, they could not have heard Sutta Goswami speaking. But in
Yeah, but you never know. There were some, when Sutta Goswami would pass through the villages, what did they didn't use urchins, they just used like ordinary people would kind of like not understand him because he was walking without any clothes on. And the only normal people, I mean, only abnormal people do that are the people that are like, mentally a little touched. I was just listening to Prabhupada today. He said Sukadeva Goswami was going, and he was naked. He was like a 16-year-old boy. And but when he passed the ladies bathing, they didn't even cover themselves. But when Vyasadeva came, they covered themselves. And Prabhupada in the lecture was saying that the only ones that are going naked now is a few crazy people down the street going naked. And so the enlightened ones, he says, of course, in India you have people standing there, Naga Babas or whatever he mentioned. And so but they still got the mercy. Just like a moment's association with him, even in any type, way, shape, or form, they get some advantage. They get advantage.
Well, Maharaj, the reason I ask this question is because sometimes some devotees are of the opinion that if Krishna wanted you to do this, he would have given you the mind or the sense to do it. Since you did not have the...
That's one way to look at it, but if we also can go the other way around, if we have a desire to do something, Krishna will facilitate that desire.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Maharaj.
We don't have to wait for Krishna to hit us in the head to do something, which may or may not happen, but if we really desire to do something, Krishna will facilitate it. And that's my experience in my life in Krishna consciousness. Whatever service I had, whatever facility I needed to do for that service, as long as that service was being done as selflessly as I could possibly do it in this physical form I have, Krishna would supply it. I mean, literally, if I, somehow or another, we got Krishna House in Gainesville. I don't know how it happened. It was just like this popped into our hands, and we had like 4 mortgages, and and somehow or another we were able to get it. We wanted it. Krishna said it was a good place. Now we have 40 bhaktas in there every semester. Krishna knew that if we use it properly, okay, they'll use it properly. Yeah. And if we have a desire, everything begins from desire. And if we have a proper desire to serve Guru and Krishna, then Guru and Krishna will give us that facility to do so. It's stated that the ability to perform the instruction of the spiritual master is there in potency in his giving that instruction. In other words, the potency to do that instruction is already there. All we have to do is, like Prabhupada said, I heard my spiritual master, he read that verse, which is one pointed attention. If your mind is, if your mind is all over the place, it's irresolute, but if you can just focus it on one thing. And Prabhupada read Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary, and he said, one should make the inspection of the spiritual master one's life and soul. And when Prabhupada accepted that, deep down inside, his instruction for me was to preach in the West, to preach in English. And so he took that to life and soul, and look what Krishna gave. Krishna gave him the whole world to preach it. Of course, we have to have the capacity to do that. He definitely had the capacity to do that. We see other Vaishnavas, in Prabhupada's line, in the Hare Krishna movement, that are, obviously empowered to do certain things that we would have normally not been able to even imagine. I never imagined myself as a salesman. But I went out every day and sold books. It's like hotcakes, as they say. It's like, but we just had a desire to serve Prabhupada. Prabhupada wanted the books to go out, so we just did it. We didn't think, oh, I'm not a salesman, I can't do this. No. Prabhupada wants us to sell books, we'll just go out and sell books.
Yeah.
Prabhupada wants to distribute prasadam, okay, we'll find some vegetables, we'll do something. I was just looking at the little stove here in my apartment at NVT. It's a very, very small, and it's the size of the stove we used to have at the rented apartment that we used for Krishna House in like 1982. And we used to put one big, huge, like 10-gallon pot on top of it and turn all 4 burners on to make khichdi. And now we have like a certified kitchen with all stainless steel and a hood and everything. So Krishna facilitates everything that we desire.
Yeah.
And also Prabhupada would say, be careful what you desire. Because if we desire the wrong thing, Krishna has his agency, Daivi Prakriti, material energy is is as ready to facilitate your material side as Krishna is ready and willing to facilitate your spiritual side. But it's all Krishna's energy. So it's all coming from Krishna. And if we desire something outside of, I don't want to say pure devotional service, but I'm saying, like, to serve Krishna in a proper way, then we'll get Krishna's blessing. But if we don't, we want to serve Maya. Maya is ready. I mean, she's ready and willing to go. Uh-oh, I disconnected again.
No, we still can hear you.
Here we go.
We can hear you though. Can you hear me, Maharaj? Well, I think we've had some mercy from Maharaj today. We wanted to be a little more greedy, but it seems the connection is still not working right. All right, I think we may have to call it a day because it's actually late, quite late for Maharaj. I believe he's in Vrindavan, he's in India. So, Salika Prabhu, what do you think? Shrivas Vanachari Prabhu, you have something to say before we bring the class to a close?
I think Srivas Prabhu stood up, I think, to maybe take care of something is not there. Yeah,
Okay,
if other devotees agree with me, I think it's okay, we can make it. Okay. Srivas, come back.
Well, Giridhari Mataji is saying we could wait a few minutes to say if Maharaj would come back. Yes, Maharaj is in Vrindavan, so it should be quite late.
Yeah, we can take 1 or 2 comments more and then wait to see if Maharaj comes.
Yeah,
If not, then we call it today.
yeah. All right. See, I was asking Maharaj these questions because if there are some devotees who will say, if Krishna wanted us to use, accordion, if Krishna wanted us to use guitar, if Krishna wanted us to use this, that to worship him, Lord Chaitanya himself would have introduced it in his time. He did not introduce it, so why are you using it today? Some devotees opine like that. But I've also heard Srila Prabhupada say oftentimes that we can use everything to serve Krishna. So if Krishna has given somebody the intelligence to invent something that can be used in the service of Krishna. My little mind tells me that it can be used, but some devotees think that we should not use. Some devotees are strongly opposed to using djembe in kirtans. They don't want to hear djembes at all. But there are some kirtans, if you have a very good djembe player in the kirtan, it makes it very ecstatic. At least that is to me. But I'm Mr. Nobody. That's why I wanted to find out from Maharaj. But His Grace Srivas Vanacharya is here. Maybe you may also throw some light on this.
Well, first of all, I wanted to say something concerning the different abilities that the living entities are endowed with in the different ages.
Okay.
I was just listening to one lecture by Srila Prabhupada this morning, and he was speaking from the first chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, and was addressing the issue of Sanjaya. And Srila Prabhupada mentions that Sanjaya was sitting with a blind king in Hastinapur, and the battle was taking place in Kurukshetra, which is about 300 miles away from Delhi, from Hastinapur. But how is it possible for Sanjaya to perceive what was happening on the battlefield? And he was giving a full report of the events on the battlefield to Dhritarashtra. So Srila Prabhupada explains that Sanjaya was gifted. Sanjaya, by the mercy of his spiritual master, Srila Vyasadeva, he had the ability to see beyond his immediate environment. And Srila Prabhupada mentions that in different ages, different people are endowed with different realizations, different levels of knowledge. He said he was saying that in Kali Yuga, the scientists, they have created all these Sputniks, Boeing 747, and all of them. But in other ages, he said, even despite the fact that we have created these huge machines, fast-moving machines, we cannot use them to travel to other planets. Like it is said that whether to go to the moon planet or to the sun planet, it would take 40,000 light years. And there is no living being on earth who can live for 40,000 light years. So it means it's just not possible for us to use our machines, advanced technology right now, to visit those planets. Prabhupada said, but yogis, just by sitting in one place, within a twinkle of an eye, the speed of the mind, they could visit any planet they wanted to. So Prabhupada said that in different ages, people are endowed with different facilities. And so we may claim we are very advanced in this age, but actually we cannot compete or compare with other ages when these gadgets were not even there. They had a different level of development. So he talked about a subtle energy. Actually, he was putting much emphasis on the subtle energy. He said, modern science is only dealing with the gross material energy. But in previous ages, the yogis, the devotees, the spiritualists, they were dealing with the more subtler energy. And then he said, even beyond that is spirit. So from this perspective, we can see that even though these gadgets weren't there in Dwarapa Yuga, in Treta Yuga, in Satya Yuga, but the people were differently endowed, that they could achieve even beyond what our science can help us achieve today. So from that perspective, we can see that it was possible because of the different levels of endowment for the different ages. Now, concerning using modern equipment, modern instruments, and what have you in the service of the Lord, Srila Prabhupada also gave a very emphatical statement. He said, we are yukta varagyas or yukta varagis. Yeah, that is, we utilize everything in Krishna's service. That is the position of the Vaishnava. He said, what do we have to renounce? What do we have to detach from? Everything belongs to Krishna. Everything belongs to the Lord. So our duty is how to utilize, how to employ these gadgets, these scientific discoveries in the service of the Lord, because the brain of the scientists belong to Krishna. The elements the scientists use in manufacturing their gadgets belong to Krishna. The intelligence, Prabhupada said, it comes from the super soul, Paramatma. So everything belongs to Krishna. So why don't we just use it for Krishna's service? I said, that is the position of the Vaishnavas. So I don't see anything that should not be utilized for Krishna, so long as it enhances the service and ultimately the pleasure of Krishna.
Thank you so much. Well, that quickly reminded me of the standard Srila Prabhupada set for us, that utility is the principle.
That's right.
So our principle should be whatever we can use in the service of Krishna should be encouraged. Yes. Thank you so much. Oladimeji, please unmute.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Haribol.
My humble obeisances to all assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna.
My question with what Maharaj just mentioned earlier, with regarding to using technology to discover a lot of things that the Vedic knowledge has pointed out. For example, you mentioned now regarding the number of years it will take naturally to visit the planet Moon. Are we saying the one that America, Russia, China are visiting are not the real moon, or is not the real moon, or probably maybe it's quite different because they are claiming they visited the moon and they are trying to visit the Mars now. So my question now is, the one that was mentioned in the Vedic literature, is it quite different from the current moon that they are referring to?
Hare Krishna. Sorry, from Bushra, respond, or you are responding?
No, please take it, Prabhuji. Yes.
Yeah, Prabhu, Oladimeji.
Oladimeji.
Yeah, actually this question, this issue of Americans, Russians, Chinese landing on the moon is a very controversial issue. And in fact, some disciples of Srila Prabhupada, they even gave up Prabhupada's association because Prabhupada insisted that they did not land on the moon. But devotees said they watched on television and they saw that the astronauts were moving on the moon. And Prabhupada said they might have gone somewhere else because the moon is said to be even farther than the sun, according to Vedic literature. And therefore, to go to the moon in such a short period of time and come back, from the Vedic perspective, is difficult to accept. So then some Buddhists said, but they brought back some rocks. And Prabhupada said, there are rocks everywhere. There are rocks everywhere. So from Prabhupada's words, Prabhupada does not accept that the astronauts actually visited the moon and visited other planets because the distance between the Earth and these planets are quite far, and it requires a lot of traveling time to get there. But there are other closer planets, actually. There are other closer planets. So Prabhupada's perception is that they might have gone to those closer planets to Earth, and they concluded they have gone to the moon. Because it's like, if you have never been to any place and you go there for the first time, it is very difficult to say where you are. For instance, if you've never been to New York City, you've never heard anything about New York City, and they just somehow drop you in New York City. How will you know whether you're in New York City? It could be Sydney, it could be London, it could be anywhere. So, so Prabhupada said they might have gone somewhere. He didn't say they didn't go anywhere. He said they might have gone somewhere, but not exactly the moon, because according to Vedic calculations, the moon is even farther than the sun. So if they cannot go to the sun, how can they go to the moon? That's Prabhupada's perception. And so, as I said, some devotees couldn't take it. One of his servants just couldn't take it. He just blooped because with his two eyes, he saw that they were landing on the moon. And Prabhupada said, no, they didn't land on the moon. So according to some Prabhupada's vision, they went somewhere, but not the moon.
Yeah, Hare Krishna, thank you so much. Aladimeji, I hope you got the response.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you very much for the nice response. Actually, I'm supporting Srila Prabhupada's opinion, because when we were young, we were told that there were only 7 planets that NASA could discover. Now, if they are coming out now and be telling us that there is high chances that they are discovering other planetary system, so there is high chances they might be having a different perception or research discovery on the particular moon Prabhupada was talking about. So I agree on that, Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Well, it is actually now a known fact that it wasn't even like they went to a particular planet and maybe mistook it to be the moon planet, but it was a deliberate stage. There are so many documentaries out there, very free, and from reputable sources, not anybody from the street speaking. People from the scientific world speaking to tell the world that it was faked.
Wow.
Yes. So sometimes I sit here and still in my mundane state of mind, I wonder how, materially speaking, Srila Prabhupada did not have any formal education about astronomy, astrology, and astrophysics. But when he speaks, challenging these astrophysicists and astronomers, he speaks with such conviction.
Yeah.
And it turns out that he's always right. Because like His Grace Srimad Madhacharya was saying, what kind of amazing machines we've invented actually do other than go around or within this earth planet. But Sri Prabhupada explained that there are particular birds, you know, how like birds fly from one tree to another. There are some birds, they fly from one planet to another. They use planets as their tree.
Yep.
You know? And modern day scientists may not accept it. Some scientists today believe that there is such a creature called Timingal. There is this fish, Timingal fish, where it said it's so huge that it swallows a blue whale in one gulp. And Sri Prabhupada explains that they are in the very, very deep beds of the ocean. You don't usually see them, but they are so huge. And most of the time, these scientists have no clue. And sometimes, if you follow strictly what scientists claim to have discovered, sometimes I feel like they're just taking information from the Vedic scriptures and claiming that they have discovered, because what they claim they have discovered is exactly what is described in the Vedic scriptures. So we are so blessed, we are so fortunate, you know. So thank you so much, Prabhuji, for that explanation. And Oladimeji, thank you for the question. Hare Krishna. So maybe we may have to call it a day. You know? And thank you so much. Saliga Prabhu, please, you may end us.
Yeah, thank you all for wonderfully associating and participating in today's class. We thank His Grace and Srivas Vanachari for coming in place at the right moment to help us. Thank you. And particularly the explanation on the subject matter of the moon was very nicely explained. Thank you so much. We thank all of the devotees. Girirari Puja, thank you so much for making this month a month to remember by bringing all of these great personalities to give us their association. May Guru and Krishna bless you in your devotional endeavors. We thank all of the devotees generally who are here. Bhakta Oladimeji, thank you for contributing to the class. Harishakra Prabhu, Atma Devi, Gayatri Devi Dasi, Govinda Prabhu, Loka Devi, Modanarayani Devi, Sriman Vara Acharya Prabhu, thank you for always being here. Sunita Devi Mataji, Mother Yasoda Devi, thank you all for making it a successful day. We look forward to seeing you again tomorrow, the same link, the same platform for another great speaker. So on this note, we want to call it a day by requesting us to do our normal ritual, requesting each and everyone to unmute themselves. Let us together loudly chant Hare Krishna to appreciate each other for this wonderful association.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare. Panchakalpatarubhyascha, Kripasindhya Evacha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namo.
Vaishnavya Namo Namo. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Brinde Ki. Gopi Menande.
Hare Hare.